Hello, happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday once again. It comes every week. Imagine that. I'm glad that you are joining us and that you are here. Hopefully, oh, there you are. I was in the private chat. Wasn't seeing any comments. I'm thinking nobody's here. How odd. And then I click on the regular comments. It's like, there you all are. So good to see you guys. Hi, Julia from the Volunteer State, Tennessee. Peter, hi, Peter. Beautiful downtown Burbank. William, good to see you again. Catherine, hi, Catherine. Oh, Ruben, hi, Ruben. Hope you're doing well. Lori, Emily, Kenneth, Diane, Ivy, Monty. I just love you guys. So good to see you. Hi, Matthew. Matthew DeRose, like my relative Matthew DeRose, I think, right? Because I don't remember seeing you on here before, but anyway, um, sorry, that was just a moment where I recognized his name. Shazia, hi, Shazia, and Grace and Haley. Emily from Detroit. I did a project outside of Detroit once. I haven't really been back. Hi, Matthew. Thank you. No, he just says no, no. Um, uh, yeah, so I have relatives, same last name in Pennsylvania, but they're more distant, like cousins, second cousins that I've never met. So that's why I asked that question because my family's basically from Pennsylvania. So that's why I asked that question. But so maybe that it would be cool, but alas, it is not meant to be. So okay, tonight we do want to get into your questions and my hair is looking funky, but it's okay. It's not about the hair. It's not about the hair. Um I maybe we are. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. So Diego, we were chatting a little bit before. Diego, one of the things he thought that I hadn't really talked about, and so maybe I can't. Oh, I love Jeremy Camp too. You can see I've finally started organizing the shelves behind my desk so I don't have the doors closed tonight. I have a few mementos. So I have Jeremy Camp from I Still Believe, and that was my pass from I Still Believe, the film premiere, which let me look at the date. Okay. So the crazy thing about that film premiere, 3/20/20, and that's when the world shut down. So we went to the premiere for that movie in LA, or I was in LA. On 3/20, I think that's when it came out. And then that weekend is the weekend that the world shut down and the movie shut down and all the theaters shut down. So that premiere, that little memento, is always interesting for me because it reminds me of working on that film, which I loved. Loved working that film, loved our cast. But it also reminds me that that marked the start of COVID and the pandemic and the shutdown. So it's got a mixed bag of tricks on that memento. So yeah, see, Emily, you saw it twice. Thank you for supporting it for the few days it was in the theater. And then it shut down. You're right, Diane. The enemy will never win. It's had a good life after the fact, when everything came about and it was made available digitally. And so, yeah, what the enemy meant for evil, God turns around for good. So, anyway, so going back to what Diego had mentioned, he thought that I hadn't really talked about. I've talked about some of the do's and don'ts in an audition setting, as far as like preparing for your audition and when you're actually doing your audition, but I haven't really talked about sort of in that in between area, that time when you're just being yourself and you're just having conversation, and however brief or long that might be, and what are some of the do's or don'ts in those moments? And so, first of all, what I want to say, and I think you've heard this before, but is just reminding you that we are rooting for you. So just remember that when you're in that setting, whether it's in person, since there are a lot more in person coming back, or virtual or a Zoom. So you're live, you're interacting live with the casting director and the team or producers, direct, whoever's involved in that. But you're just doing it on the computer. So either way, that interaction, I want you to just always remember we are rooting for you to be great. So we want you to be good. We want you to come in and blow us away. We are not looking to pick you apart. We're not looking for opportunities or coming in with you got to prove it to us kind of thing. We're really saying, I hope this is the one, because, it's exciting when you find that person that you just know is right. And we want to do that because there's multiple roles in a film to fill. And as soon as we can fill one, that means we get to go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So just know that we are interested, that we are rooting for you. Okay. So that means you can come in with confidence, and you can come in knowing that we're in your corner. We're not against you, we're for you. All right. And then from a standpoint of just that little chit chat times, we have talked a little bit about if your process with a character is, and if it's a scene that involves a lot of intensity or emotion or things like that, if your process is such that it takes you really deep and you kind of get, I guess, more of a method type thing, but you just get really, really into the character, um, we want you to be able to pull out of that for a brief moment so that we can say hello, so we can make the introductions, and that can feel normal and not feel weird. And trust me, I've had a few weird ones when someone can't slip out of it for a minute, and there's just an awkwardness to it. Um, but if you can come out of it for just a moment, enough for us to say hello, um, where are you, or where you zooming in from, and any of that information, maybe some brief question that has come up since the first audition to the second, or something that the director or producer saw on your resume. That'll happen a lot too, where they'll be looking over your resume and they'll see maybe a project they know of, or a project that a colleague of theirs or a friend of theirs did. And so it sparks a conversation. Just be ready for anything. Of course, on our side, it's our responsibility to be mindful of the fact that you are getting ready to do your scene and to not pull you out of that too much. And so sometimes there have been times when that's been kind of forgotten. And I know that's a challenge for you guys as actors. But even if that happens, try to just go with it. And then eventually, if it's me, eventually I'll probably get a clue and realize that I've completely distracted you, and certainly give you some extra time to prep and get back into that place. Um, and if they don't, what did we say you always do? You ask for the minute, right? You say, "Can I just take a moment to get ready? Can I just have a moment?" Right? So if I don't give it to you, or um if the casting director doesn't, or whoever's running the session doesn't give you that moment and you need it, don't forget to ask for it. Okay? It is a good thing. And then, I've said this before, then take your moment. Don't take your 5 minutes or even 2 minutes or even 1 minute. Take the few moments that you need to get yourself back focused, and then go into the material. As far as some of the things that are maybe red flags, or the things I would say are more like don'ts, um, don't give us signs of your insecurity, meaning, and it's amazing how many times I do hear this, but all the time, often oh, I just got the sides last night. I haven't really had a chance to look at them. Um, I didn't have a chance to read the whole script. Any of those sort of negatives, um, that denote you either didn't give it time or take the time or prioritize the time, um, stay away from those. We don't need to know. As long as your performance is good, then it doesn't matter whether you got it last night at midnight or whether you got it yesterday morning or the day before. Um, and don't reveal that, because then it already sets us up for thinking, oh, they didn't have enough time or it isn't going to be good or any of that. I think what you're trying to do is to say, hey, if it's not great, give me another chance because I haven't had much time with this. But it doesn't work that way. It actually just becomes a negative right off the bat, and we don't want that. And keep in mind, there are times when scripts are changing on the fly, whether a scene isn't always working or, they block it and they run it and it's like something's not right. Then they can go back, the producers, the writers, whoever can go back and tweak the scene and rewrite it somewhat. And so your ability to be able to handle material, even if you don't have a ton of time, is a plus. So, yeah, don't give that away. The other thing is maybe not launch into really, really complicated stories. If we say, "Oh, so where'd you grow up?" It doesn't mean we want to hear your whole story. Like, well, I was born here, and then at 1 I moved here, and then when I was 4 I moved here. Like, it isn't really the time right then, but you can give us an overview of, oh, I was born in Pennsylvania, but I moved around a lot as a child, and landed in Florida, ended up in Florida or something like that. Um, and then if they want to ask more questions, they will, but try not to get too complicated into a long drawn out story. Oftentimes we are on a schedule, and so that can make it difficult, and we want the time for your audition, not so much, um, as much in the chatting, unless it's initiated. Now, if it's initiated and then the director says, "Oh, why did you move around? Were your parents in the military?" And then it may prompt a very natural conversation, that happens organically, which is great. Then just go with it. Just respond and go with whatever's happening in the moment. Um, but if unless prompted to continue on in the story, just kind of keep things simple up front. Um, yeah. So, and then I think that you want to be, you generally want to have a very positive, energetic attitude. We want a sense that you like what you're doing, that you don't hate this, you don't hate auditioning, or this isn't a pain for you. Um, and that you have a passion for acting and for the craft, and it's something that you, really, that's important to you, and doing it well is important to you. So just understand, if you have a blasé attitude of like, okay, this is one of 4 I have today, or oh, I had to stop doing something I really enjoyed to come and audition, and, kind of, oh, this is a pain. That's not going to go over well either. So I think I have said this before. Keep in mind that one of the things that we are looking for, and if it's a director producer session, definitely what they are looking for is, do I want to work with this person long term? Because these movies take a long time, or TV shows, whatever it may be, they take a long time to shoot. And then you often are going back and doing ADR months later after the main part of the shoot. And you don't want to be that person that the director is thinking, oh, I don't want to have to call that person back in, because it has happened where they think, oh, I don't want to have to call them back in. You know what? We'll just cut their scene. if they don't feel connected, or they didn't love what you did, or didn't love your attitude, then you certainly don't want to give them a reason to cut down your scenes, or to minimize your presence in the film. So um but yeah, definitely put yourself in their shoes. You're going to work on this thing 24/7 for the next several months. Who would you want to be hanging out with? Who would you want to be working with? What's the attitude of the people that you would want to be coming alongside of on really hard days, when it's blazing hot outside, or freezing cold outside, or, just things are difficult, or tight, or tense? What kind of personalities and what kind of people would you want to have on your team and to have around you? And chances are that's exactly what the director and the producers are looking for. The same thing that you would be looking for in that same situation. So, um, okay, I see a question, Emily. When we prepare our audition and come in, what is the best way to ask the CD's vision for the character? That's not the time to ask it, actually, Emily. You and quite honestly, it isn't really the casting director's vision, because I'm getting my vision from the director. So the director has communicated to me what he or she envisions in the role, or the mood, or the emotional tempo, um, or emotional beats that are important to them. They've communicated that to me. And so I'm working to try and bring that out in the audition process based on what they've told me, they, meaning the director, producers, have told me they are looking for. But the challenge with coming in and then asking, what is your vision for the role, means you haven't made any decisions about it before. And you can't just wait until you're in the room to start deciding about who this character is, and what is their life, what is their backstory, what is their history, what is what is their blood, their emotional being. You have to make those decisions prior. So it it is not a good idea. In fact, it's a bad idea to pose a question like that in the audition setting. And I've a few times had people say, when I say, "Do you have any questions before we get started?" And they'll say, "Well, can you tell me what you're looking for that others haven't given you?" Well, that's not a question I want to hear, because then what I get from that is, "Hey, I just want to do what you want. I just want to please you. I'm afraid to make mistakes on my own and make decisions on my own because they might be wrong. So I'm going to not make any decisions until you tell me what my decisions should be." And that's not the kind of actors that are going to succeed. And it's not the kind of actors that come across well, that the directors are excited to work with. You make those decisions. You do the work on your own. You develop the character on your own. And then in that process, if you do a take that's interesting, even if it's off a little in the way that the director has shared with me they want the character, but if you do a compelling audition, I'm going to redirect you and give you notes that you can then process. But to come in blank and wait for someone to tell you what you should be doing doesn't work. That's not what actors do. That's more what like a robot would do, right? Just input data and let them spit out the results of that data. No, what we want is actors who love and work on the craft of acting and creating rich characters with depth and background and emotional life, and that are dimensional. So okay, Charles, that could come across as indecisive actor, lack of confidence. Yeah. And I understand the sincere place that it comes from, which is that you want to do the right thing, or you want to please the people who are casting the project. But that that is indecisive and that it isn't really the craft of acting. The craft of acting isn't waiting for someone to tell you exactly what you should do on each beat. The craft of acting is creating and inhabiting a character and bringing that character to life in such a way that they combined with everything else bring stories to life and move people and compel people to watch and to go on the journey. And again, there's so many times that an actor who has really created a rich character um, can come and do a performance that the director didn't expect and take the character in a direction they didn't really plan on but and expect, but was really super interesting and really compelling. And whether or not the director ultimately decides to make a shift based on that performance doesn't matter. What has happened is that the director has said, "Oh my gosh, that's a really interesting thought. That's a really interesting take on that character or on that scene. This is a really smart actor." That's what they say. So, yeah, you want to um, really have given all of that beforehand and then just take the notes. Yes, collaborative takeaways and notes. That was your thought. Yeah, that's exactly right. So if we see the potential in your first read, which your first read is based on whatever information you've been given prior, whatever work you did prior. And if we see pieces of something that could work or something really great or the potential, then we're going to give you notes and fine tune that for you. Um, yeah, so there you go. Julia, I was blessed with a lead part in a film project summer, but have no idea when or where it will be released. I only have the producer's info and she has no idea when it will be released. I found the casting director's info. Would it be inappropriate to contact her? Any ideas about how I should handle this without being a pain? Um, well, first of all, you have a right to try to find out about a project you already did the work on, right? You do the work with the understanding that, or at least the hope that these projects go out into the world and people see them and they exist out there. And so it's reasonable for you to inquire as to where in the process the film is. um, if it hasn't gone anywhere and you're not hearing anything, that may mean they don't have any news or that it hasn't quite taken hold the way they had hoped, and there might be a struggle there with trying to get it somewhere. Um, so the best you can do is ask, but I it's not inappropriate for you to reach out to the casting director and ask. I've had people inquire with me. I'm typically referring them to the producers and the director, though. Understand that at that point in the process, the casting directors often know very little of what's going on with the film. And oftentimes people are telling me facts about the movies that I worked on because they're following the project on social media or have friends of friends or colleagues that were a part of it. And they know things I don't even know. So if you figure the post production process is months down the road, and our part of the process, the casting part, is even before production. So if post production is, 6 months to a year after production, and we were even before production, it's often been a long time. So we don't always know. So you can reach out to the casting director, but don't be surprised if, I think you said it was a she, if she says, "I don't really have any news," or "I don't have any information." Hopefully that person will refer you to someone who might be able to help. That's what I would do. I would refer you to a producer or someone who might have more updated information for you. So, yeah, but it's okay to ask, certainly to ask. And I would make the rounds and ask. I wouldn't send emails every week. That will become a pain, but, I would ask, and if you don't hear anything the next month, you haven't heard anything or no one's replied to you, then just gently say, "Hey, just circling back on this, looking for some news." Um, just keep it, very upbeat and casual. So, um, are casting international actors a high possibility? I don't know. I don't really know what that question is in context. I don't know the context of that. If you have the budget to fly someone from Europe or Australia or Canada, they're considered international. Um, Mexico, if you have the budget and the arrangements to bring them, great. With international actors, they have to have work permits in order to work in the US. So you have to make sure that they have papers that allow them to work in the US already. If they don't, that you need to know the visa process is very expensive. Typically, I would say for something that goes smoothly and just is kind of basic would be about 10 grand. Um, and between legal fees and then the fees for all the various different pieces of paperwork you have to gather and processing. So, yeah, you can cast internationally if you plan for it and budget for it. Yeah. So I guessing that's what you were asking, but that is my answer. Um, I I've learned to ask a friend about who I can contact with it. Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's good to, when you're in the moment, to remind them. And I've said this before, in your contracts as an actor, in your agreements, in your contracts, make sure that you're putting in there that you get a copy of your footage. Whether you get a copy digitally, through a link, downloadable link somehow, but put it in writing in your agreement, because then you do have, um, you do have grounds to push a little harder because it was a contractual agreement that was made as a part of you participating. So just make sure you guys are getting that in writing, so that you can push a little harder, or your reps can push on your behalf, and it doesn't have to be your thing. If you have reps, let them do their work and try to go in there and get those things for you. So, hi, Diane. If we can't get our film footage from the films we've been in, do we need to try to get it from the film itself and add to our reel? I Feel Lust. Yeah, I mean, if the footage is commercially available and there was an agreement that you were going to uh, have access to your footage, or that you could use your footage, then yes, I would go just buy the piece commercially and have someone just pull, there's software and editors and people that could pull your scenes off of a commercial, DVD or link or something, depending on the format in which it's being like distributed. Um, but yeah, I think if it was the agreement that they were going to provide you with it and they didn't, so you went and got your footage yourself, then there should be no objection if they were to ever see it on your reel, because they agreed to it. So I wouldn't think there would be any issue with you getting it yourself. In fact, I would encourage you to do that, to go get it yourself. Hi, Victoria. I saw your video where you were dancing around because you had a long vest on. It was very funny. It was cute. I don't know if it was new or old, but it was funny. If anyone needs a video editor, I've cut an actor reel before. Yay. Okay, so keep Victoria in mind. She's wonderful, very talented. She's an actor herself, so she understands what the goals are of a reel, and understands, what you're trying to accomplish in doing your reel. So you guys keep her in mind and reach out if that's something that you need. Yeah. Yes, Shazia, it's exactly right. Real companies, because there are services that's what they do is create reels. Um, they can find it and they have the means by which to pull what they need and get what they need. Typically, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Okay, next question. Apart from meeting industry people at festivals, is it realistic to actually develop friendships like actors with producers, managers, casting directors? Um, yes, it's complicated. Um, and I think it depends on your mindset going into it. I I'll just speak for myself. I have a lot of friends, and people I love and value and cherish in this business. I've worked in it a long time, so it's been a lot of years. Um, and two different perspectives. First of all, when I have friendships with directors and producers, I have to be their friend first and understand what that means. If it's going to be a true friendship, if it's really a friendship that I care about and I want to develop, then that means they're my friend whether or not they hire me for their next movie. They're my friend, whether or not we ever work together. Um, they're just my friend. So I'm going to cheer them on when they have great victories. I'm going to pray for them. I'm going to just hopefully approach them in a way that they never feel pressured by me, that they have to make an excuse as to why they didn't hire me or hired someone else or, something like that, where there's any sort of awkwardness. Because that's the challenge in being friends within the business is if there's by being friends, there's a expectation that that means that you get preferential treatment or that you're going to get jobs because of the friendship, then it's not really a friendship. Um, so I think it's all in our attitudes with how we approach the friendship and the person. So that's my viewpoint as far as my being a friend to those who could give me jobs and put me to work and hire me or not, right? On the flip side, I'm friends with a lot of actors and I go to conferences and different events and things where I'll run into actors or see actors get together with actors. And I love it. I've developed some really, really great friendships with people that I just value. And I value them, and my life is better for it. But I've also experienced some in which there's always this underlying expectation that I'm going to hire them, or why didn't I hire them? Or an awkwardness if I have them audition for something, but I don't choose them. Um, or a case where I feel like I'm going to if I have them audition and they don't get the job, then it's gonna turn into something uncomfortable and just, not enjoyable. Um, that's not great. So my thing is we can be colleagues and we can be friendly with each other and we can talk about business and all of that. And that's wonderful and that's great. But if we're going to call ourselves friends and if we're going to, put time and heart and emotional investment into being friends, then friends is a different thing. Friends has nothing to do whether I hire you or others hire me, has nothing to do with any of that. What the latest we talk about business because it's what we have in common. So of course, we're going to talk about business and it's some of the things that can bring us together, but without the expectation. And I know it's really hard. I'm speaking for myself. It's really, really hard because some of the people I cherish the most are also people who have not hired me for projects. And I've had to work through that in my own mind about how do I how do I set that aside so that I can truly be their friend? I can pray for them. I can encourage them. I can enjoy speaking with them and ask about their families and genuinely care about those things so that there is no expectation or awkwardness. It's not easy sometimes, but it is necessary. So I think friendship is something um, that y- friendship is different than like just business colleagues. And it's okay to just be business colleagues with people. But if you're going to be friends, then it needs to not have any expectations. And it's just like what the Bible says, we weep when they weep, we cheer, we celebrate when they celebrate, we encourage them, we pray for them, no matter what, because the friendship isn't about the business. So anyway, I'll just say that. Diego, friendships are definitely possible. Bev and I are a testament of that. Challenge is not everyone wants a friendship, just resources that come from a person. It's true. And that is true because Diego and I working together came from just starting to talk and then a friendship and then grew into a business relationship. But it's very true. And I think you guys can sense when there's someone um, that just wants from you, who just wants to take, but and it's very it just isn't comfortable or it's very one-sided. Um, and so just be mindful of that um as you're in this business and we go to functions and we come together and I just think more genuine relationships, genuine friendships is never a bad thing. So, um, John, have you ever had to end a relationship because they disagreed with you or didn't get apart because you had to go with your gut and not hire them? I haven't ended it, but they have. I've had a couple, only a couple, who this person just that I'm thinking of. There's a few that just sort of when the realization came that it wasn't going to result in all kinds of sort of extra perks and things, or that it didn't mean that I was going to cast him every time, then the friendship sort of dissolved naturally. I've only had one or two where the person actually argued with me and could not understand why the choice was made and was more accusatory of me as to why the decision was made. And of course, I don't have the final call. But in this particular case, I was in full agreement with the directors and the producers on the decision that they made. So I stood by it. But yeah, unfortunately, it harmed our friendship quite a lot. And to this day, I think we're making little inroads, but it did. And I was very sad about it. It wasn't something that I wanted and it wasn't something that I initiated, but this person just, I don't think was able to separate the two. So it's a sad thing when that happens. So um, I'm sure this being in this position can be challenging if you had to put walls up because of this. Yeah, I'm a little more guarded and I'm trying not to be, um, because that's something I'm learning too, because I want to meet all you guys. And the reality is we can't all be great friends, right? Just not everybody is going to be great friends with everybody. We can be friends and colleagues, all of us, but as far as those deeper relationships, that takes time and oftentimes it just, happens organically over time. Um but I think the key is when we come together at these events and um, conferences or any time that we come together, even here on Tuesday nights, I think it's about us just being genuine and being eh, genuine in the way we communicate, genuinely caring about the people around us, and really having a heart of service as opposed to what can I get, more the thought of what can I give or who can I support or how could I support someone, or even in these questions, someone who's saying, um, it- someone who's saying, "Oh, hey, I can do this," or "Hey, I have this resource if it's ever helpful to you." Like that's what I want us to be doing, right? That's the way that we can develop friendships and be great colleagues together and just be real with each other. And so I encourage all of us, including myself, to try to be open that way. And I'm working to be less guarded. um, and sometimes I just have to step off and kind of just have some alone time. Diego knows this about me, so he knows sometimes to like just pull me out for a minute. Um, but honestly, when I see you at an event or at a conference or something like that, and we're talking, I want to know about you. I want to talk to you. I'm sincere in wanting to hear from you or answer your question, or whatever the topic is or the reason that we are running into each other. um I want to focus on you for however those moments are. I'm sincere in that. And so just know that, I'm trying not to have walls up and trying to let God orchestrate all of that stuff. So, speaking of conferences, I do want to mention Content Film Festival. So, Content Media Conference, sorry, is the official name. It is coming up. I will be there. So, hopefully, I will see some of our Tuesday. Well, of course, we have our Tuesday family meetup. So, you can use the code Beverly. That's my name. Um, and we are going to have a meetup for just us so that we can become better friends and deeper friends, which I'm super excited about. I really, really do hope to see as many of you there as I can. I see, Emily, you're attending virtually. That's awesome, because then after the conference, then maybe on our Tuesday, we can do a little debrief and kind of talk about what you all got out of it, or what was great for you, and what was most meaningful to you. And then those who weren't able to make it can hear a little bit more about kind of went on and maybe plan for it a following year. So code is Beverly, and it's christianmediaconference.com is the website where you can find the program. It's the 25th through the 29th of September. It's in Weatherford, Texas at Capernaum Studios. If you're not familiar with that, Capernaum Studios is where The Chosen shot the first 3 seasons. Much of it, not everything, but a lot of the first 3 seasons were shot in Capernaum Studios. So the conference will be there. I know that I've read through the program, and they're doing like praise and worship at night, out within the grounds of the studio space and the sets. And I'm sure it's going to be amazing. I'm looking at the other people who are going to be there, and I see Leanne Barna, who's wonderful. She's a development executive. If you're a screenwriter, if you have projects in development, she's great. They're doing a like how to pitch your project. She's going to be talking about that. Nathan Blair, great filmmaker. He's produced and directed a lot of films that I'm sure you've seen and love. Um, yeah, Leanne, I'm looking through all these people. Cheryl McKay's going to be there. She's a writer, producer, and she's going to be talking about that process. The Llewellyns are going to be there. Benjamin Dane is great. Yeah, just a whole list of people. So go to christianmediaconference.com and click on program. You'll see the whole program for all the days. And then mine specifically is on the 29th. And I'm pulling up the schedule. It's on the 29th at 11 o'clock. 29th at 11 o'clock. And yeah, there's a lot of other great people. So come join us. And yeah, there's panels for actors, screenwriters, producers, all kinds. So if you're a multi-hyphenate, meaning you're an actor, producer, writer, or actor, writer, director, there's going to be all kinds of opportunities for you to be enriched in all of those areas, not just the acting side. So excited to see you guys. And then, of course, they're showing films that are a part of the awards and are up for awards. And then that awards banquet will be that night, Friday night, and we'll see who gets the awards. All great projects. And so hopefully I will see you there. We still have a couple more weeks before that. So I will see you next Tuesday and we will talk more. Okay. Love and appreciate. Oh, I see Emily says, adore Nathan. He's great. He's really wonderful. Charles, you're planning to attend next year, which is great. Yeah. Can't wait though. For those of you who are going, I can't wait for us to get together and have some fun and some great conversations and to develop our friendships. I love and appreciate you guys so, so much. Thank you for spending your Tuesday nights with me. So for now, I'll see ya. Bye. Mwah.